Welcome to the Crop Insurance Podcast. I'm Mike Rydell, a third-generation crop insurance agent here to make federal crop insurance less confusing and more useful. Whether you're a seasoned grower or just getting started, we're here to help you stay covered and confident in every season. Today's episode is brought to you by the Crop West Insurance Group, your agent-friendly crop insurance group. If you want more support, smarter marketing, and better tools to help grow your agency, Crop West's expert team has your back. Visit cropwestinsurance.com to level up today. Crop West Insurance is an equal opportunity provider and employer. It's Mike Rydell, host of the Crop Insurance Podcast. I'm coming to you today from northern Montana, where I just got done with the Montana Grain Growers Convention. That's happened to be their 70th annual convention, and I had a great time meeting with local producers and discussing crop insurance issues, concerns, and the upcoming SDRP Stage 2 payments. Now, I just did an episode not too long ago about the SDRP Stage 2 on November 24th, 2025, the day the application process opened. Well, since then, there's been quite a bit more information that's come out. And actually today I had the chance to sit in on a webinar with the USDA, RMA, and FSA. After attending that webinar this morning, I wanted to share what I've learned and to help you make a little bit more sense of the application process and how to potentially claim a payment under this new stage. So what is SDRP Stage 2? Well, SDRP is part of the USDA Supplemental Disaster Relief Program, and we already went over Stage 1. We did a previous episode on Stage 2 just a couple of weeks ago, but Stage 2 is geared more towards people that experienced a reduction in their production due to an insurable cause of loss and maybe didn't receive a federal crop indemnity. This is what Stage 2 is geared towards. Now, a big difference between Stage 1 and Stage 2 is your quality loss issues that come into play are way more prevalent in Stage 2 and kind of take center stage, which I believe is going to be a big driver in terms of people submitting claims under this SDRP Stage 2. Unlike in Stage 1, you won't be mailed an application directly from FSA. In Stage 1, producers received forms directly from FSA if they had a crop insurance indemnity in 2023 or 2024. Stage 2, they don't know if you had a loss or not or a reduction in your production, so you must book an appointment with your local FSA office. They're not going to mail you anything unless you initiate the process. And the big reason why is because Stage 2 includes shallow losses or losses that didn't trigger a federal crop insurance indemnity. So since there was no claim, FSA doesn't know you had a loss, but here's a biggie. Just because they're not automatically sending that paperwork out, they have all the information they need to help you generate that paperwork once you set up that appointment. So you're not completely on your own filling out these complex SDRP applications. Your local FSA office is going to have all the information necessary to help you pre-fill those applications and get the ball rolling. But none of that happens unless you reach out to them first. So make sure you book early. Many FSA offices are already filling up with appointments in December, and you're going to want to use their online scheduling system or give them a call and get something booked, and do not wait until the spring. The earlier you can get in, the better. So what can you expect at the FSA appointment? I'm not an expert. I'm not an FSA employee, but based on the webinar, one of the things they mentioned, and this is just really, I guess, neat, is that FSA has all of that information and they're going to provide you with a pre-filled application that's going to include all of your crop insurance data for the 2023 and 2024 crop years. And your job is going to be to go in and verify that production to count. You can rely on your crop insurance agent to help you give you some of that information and help you walk through the different units and what all that means. But it's your job to verify that production. Now, if everything looks good, you can sign off on it and move on to the next step. Now, if anything looks incorrect, especially, inflated production, you're going to work with your agent to help get that corrected and with FSA. This might happen if you had an uninsured unit whose production was merged into a different unit in that particular crop year. Maybe you were overreported due to bin measurement estimates or aggregation errors, and you've hauled all your production to town, and now you know the actual production based on your settlement sheets. You can correct those errors with verifiable production records. Now, there's ways, a whole series of paths this can go down, but let's just stick with verifiable production records such as settlement sheets, load ticket, bin measurements, all those fun things that can be independently verified. You can correct those errors on the sheet. Contact FSA for more information about what that looks like, and you can reach out to your federal crop insurance agent to help you gather that information and make sure that these forms are accurate. Earlier, we mentioned quality losses in stage 2, and why does that matter? Well, stage 2 really shines when it comes to quality-related losses. So here's the key difference from traditional crop insurance for those of you that are familiar with quality loss in federal crop insurance. Here's where kind of the big difference is. Crop insurance doesn't necessarily care what you get paid for at the elevator, unless you're using something like whole farm revenue protection or other products like that. They don't necessarily care what you get paid. Well, SDRP Stage 2 does care, because it's going to compensate you for the difference between what you should have gotten paid and what you were actually paid due to quality issues. Think falling numbers, protein discounts, test weights, and dockage and things like that at the elevator. That matters. Now, again, you have to remember that all of this only applies if you suffered an insurable cause of loss, and that's why you had some of these quality issues. So just remember that is important. But stage 2 does care what you got paid, and it's geared towards helping compensate you for that. Speaking of quality loss factors, on that USDA website, they have a very handy calculator that you're going to want to use to help determine your quality loss factor. So from the website, you're going to go on and find that calculator. You're going to be entering your production per unit, which production was affected or how much of that production was affected, the expected price you were expecting to get, and what the actual price was that you received at the elevator due to those quality loss adjustments. Now, or those quality adjustments. That calculator is then going to generate a certified quality loss factor that you're going to be able to take and put into your application next to the related line item, which you're going to put on that FSA paperwork. And you're going to go through line by line, filling this information out, documenting all your steps along the way, and putting that into your application to help come up with your payment factor. So speaking of payment factors, once you come up with that total payment that you're looking at, and they'll add back in your policy premium and fees and things of that nature, SDRP Stage 2 has a 35% payment factor, just like in Stage 1. So they're not going to pay you the total gross. They're going to apply that 35% factor, just like they did in Stage 1, because they want to make sure they have enough funds available for everybody that's going to be submitting losses under this SDRP program. Now, you're going to have until April 30th, 2026 to complete this application along with Stage 1. So if there's any money left over after the initial payouts, after that April 30th deadline, they should have a better idea, and you may or may not get a second payment. That's all to be determined, but just know that they have that 35% factor in Stage 2, just like they did in Stage 1. So looking at payments, now let's assume that you already had a Stage 1 payment on your wheat because you had a federal crop loss. Stage 2 might help you out on your barley because say you did not have a barley loss on your federal crop insurance policy, but maybe you had malt that didn't make malt and you had too many bushels, but it reduced your quality, and all these different factors that came into place. You may end up with a loss in stage 2. So just remember all of your crops that you had seeded in those years are what you're looking at. And so it can get complicated, but just know that because you received a stage 1 payment doesn't mean you're not going to be able to receive a stage 2 payment. It's just the different crops that you may have had in your county. Now, some great news that they announced for stage 1 that was not previously in stage 1 is they're going to go back and look at stage 1 and look at those quality loss factors that we're using in stage 2 for those payments and look at applying those retroactively to your stage 1 payments. Now, they didn't have a lot of information on this, as that's going to be released here in, they said, January of 2026. So January, February, we should be receiving some more information on that. But the way they made it sound is you're still going to be able to go back and look at what you got paid. You're not going to be able to double dip, but you're going to be able to potentially increase your loss payment under stage 1 if there's a quality loss factor that wasn't already applied on your crop insurance or on that paperwork, because you did not have the quality loss factor in stage 1, and they'll compensate you for that. Now, the biggie is if you already had a quality loss factor on your crop insurance loss that lowered that production, you're not going to be able to apply that again to the production to continue to lower it. It would maybe, let's say you had a 10% quality loss adjustment factor on your crop insurance policy, and then using their calculator based on what you actually got paid, it shows a 12% reduction. You're not going to be able to reduce that production that was already reduced 10% by an additional 12. They're going to look at the 2 and have a factor, and let's say they're only going to reduce it another 2%. They're going to release all that information. We don't have it at this time, but just know that you will be able to go back and look at that. So I know that a lot of malt barley producers out there, that's something to keep an eye on. All the different crops that have quality issues and you received a reduced payment at the elevator, this could potentially help you collect more under stage 1 payment and for sure under stage 2 payment. So you're going to want to make sure you go through all of these forms with your FSA office and make sure you get everything filled out and submitted timely. That brings us to the end of our episode, and some of the key takeaways that I cannot stress enough is make an appointment early with your local FSA office. Do this as soon as humanly possible. Don't wait until the spring. Start reaching out today. Give them a call today. Go on their website today and get an appointment today. The sooner you get this process started, the better off you will be. I can't stress it enough. Get in there today. Make that appointment today. You might not get it for today. You might get it a couple weeks out or a month out, but get in line and start that process today. The other key takeaway is that 35% payment factor, just like in stage 1. So that's still going to apply to stage 2 indemnities if you qualify for one. Well, thanks again for tuning into the Crop Insurance Podcast. I know that these USDA programs can be complicated, but hopefully this breakdown helps you make a little bit more sense of stage 2 of the SDRP payment program, and it helps you to access the benefits that you deserve. Make sure you check the links in our YouTube page where we have directly to the USDA website, and there's a whole host of information there, and they're going to continue to add on to it. So make sure you check the frequently asked questions in their Q&A portion. Is from the webinar today, they're going to take a lot of the questions that they didn't have time to answer, and then they're going to go through all of those and answer those and post those on their website. And that's just going to be a huge help to you as a crop insurance agent. If you need help understanding this program, or if you're a producer out there and you just want to research it for yourself, head on over to that website. So again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time. From my family to yours, thank you for tuning in. If you found this helpful, please subscribe and share with a neighbor. Visit www.cropinsurancepodcast.com for more episodes, articles, and tools. For full policy details, always check the crop insurance provisions or speak with your local crop insurance agent.